Hello everyone, it's Johnny 𝐿𝐴𝐻𝐿, and in this video I'll be listening to Alturas de Machu Pichu by Los Jaivas. Los Jaivas are a progressive rock band from Chile. This album was released in 1981, and this will be my very first time hearing the band. As a huge fan of prog rock, this album has actually been on my radar for several years, thanks to its good reputation amongst prog fans in general, and because of its pretty compelling original cover art. You know, recently I've been listening to quite a lot of prog rock from Latin America, specifically from Argentina. There are videos on my channel of me listening for the first time to Argentinian bands like Infusing and 𝐒𝐢𝐬𝐳𝐐, for example. And some of my viewers on those videos have requested this very album. And since I was already pretty interested in this album, I'm happy to do this one. From what I've read, this album is actually a concept album based on a poem written by a Chilean poet named Pablo Neruda. And the poem seems to deal with themes relating to the indigenous past of Latin America. I'll appreciate any comments you can leave that explain any deeper meaning behind the songs on this album. But in this video, as usual, I'll be giving you my initial thoughts on the music itself. So if you enjoyed this video, please click the like button for me, and let's get into this. Track 1 is called Del aire al aire, which I suppose means from the air to the air. Okay, so that was a pretty cool introduction track. The opening with the bird song everywhere reminds me of the beginning of Close to the Edge by Yes. But very quickly after that, what sounds to me like a type of pan flute came in. I'm not exactly sure what instrument it is. I don't know if it relates in some way to traditional folk music of South America. It sets a fantastic mood up though, and I really like the way it was produced with the pan flute panning from side to side. And halfway through, it was also joined by synthesizer sounds, which puts us more in the time zone that this album was actually created. I like the fact that it seems to be setting us up for a mixture of old traditional sounds with more modern sounds of rock music of the time. But to really find out, I better get into the next song, which is the longest song on the album at 11 minutes long. It's track 2 and it's called La Poderosa Muerte, the powerful death. Wow, that was pretty spectacular. Just a really magical atmosphere going all the way through that song. And so much happened in it. I mean, there's so much I could say, so much to go over. It never really settled in one place, and I think I'm definitely going to need to return to it and absorb it. And well, it's going to be so much fun to keep returning to a song like that that to me seems to have so much to offer. But yeah, beautiful sounds. As I hoped, it did have that mixture a lot of the time, combining traditional instrumentation with more modern of the time synthesizers and rock instruments. And it was absolutely thrilling. But starting with the opening, the introduction had this really sorrowful mood. And the use of the flutes and the synthesizers together reminded me of Cosmo Canyon from Final Fantasy VII. If you're a fan of Final Fantasy, I'm sure you know what I mean. But if not, here's a little clip for you. So maybe you can see why I'm taken to that world from this music in the best way possible. I mean, like I said, it just sounds so magical. But once the whole band came in, it started to sound more like you would expect a prog rock song to sound. And although some of the synth sounds and the production techniques do date it to the beginning of the 1980s, I felt that the sound of the music was way more rooted in that of the 70s. A sound that most of the English bands playing that style had already forsaken by this point in time. So this band must have been a real godsend for any prog rock fans who were lucky enough to come across it at the time. When the vocals in this song really started to soar, wow, just powerfully beautiful. I was really impressed by the strength of the singer's voice straight off the bat, and so much passion. The sounds of the instruments they're using that are of this time, and perhaps the storytelling element, remind me of the War of the Worlds album by Jeff Wayne, which, you know, put the story of H.G. Wells' The War of the Worlds to the sound of prog rock, and that's an album I love as well. But yeah, this has that similar feeling of taking you to another time or place with narrative music, but this album has a mood all its own. I mean, I've never heard anything quite like it, really. So we're off to a very good start. Let's carry on with the next song. It's track 3 and it's called Amor, americano, or American Love.
Amor, amor, no toques la frontera.
Okay, very impressive. This song had a really unusual rhythm. I've never heard anything quite like it. I mean, it's almost a type of Latin rhythm that I'm familiar with, but there was also something slightly off about it that was really intriguing. I really spent quite a lot of that song just trying to figure out what was going on with that rhythm, but there was so much incredible musicianship going on all around it. The keyboards and the guitar playing in unison, these really elaborate melodic lines, almost sounds like something from Western classical music more than anything. I don't know if their influence for that is coming from classical music itself or from other prog rock bands who were also influenced by classical music. I'm not sure, but the combination of that unusual rhythm with that kind of performance was definitely something unique. And again, I enjoyed the passionate vocal performance. I suppose the only thing I've heard that I can really compare the vocal style and the songwriting style to is something like Victor Jara. It has that sound of, I suppose the Chilean accent must be playing into it, but it's also that sound of, to me, it sounds like singing from a bygone era, and it's very beautiful. The next song is track 4, and it's called Águila sideral, which means something eagle, I think, but I guess sideral must be a type of eagle. Here we go. Okay, I have to say again, I was very taken with the atmosphere on that song. So dark and mysterious, like it's broadcasting from an ancient time. And I have to say again that Nobuo Uematsu, the composer of the Final Fantasy series, he must have been influenced by this music. I've never heard anything else that quite has that exact mysterious tone that some of those late 90s Final Fantasy games have. Who knows? I will also say that some of the vocal harmonies reminded me of what I've heard on Talking Heads. Something like Born Under Punches, the Remain in Light album. The harmonies in the vocals sound just like this. I'm sure it must be a Latin American sound that David Byrne from Talking Heads must have been into, because I know he does appreciate a lot of South American music. But that vocal style being used in this context is really appealing to me. As I said, just sounds so mysterious, so cool and beautiful. The next song is track 5, and it's called Antigua América, Ancient America. Quite a technical tour de force, that one. Outstanding piano playing, really reaching Rick Wakeman levels of speed and precision. But with the huge amount of instrumental variety, it's almost like I'm listening to a South American version of Gentle Giant. The way all the musicians are playing their parts and everything so technical and precise, you really get the feeling that they're a rock band playing like an orchestra, which is something other prog rock bands did do. But Los Jaivas are doing it with such a unique atmosphere and instrumentation I haven't heard used in rock before. Some really nice guitar playing as well that kind of reminded me of the style of Steve Hackett from Genesis. Or maybe John McLaughlin from Mahavishnu Orchestra, but not quite so much blistering speed. But still, it's that precision in the playing. It's playing the guitar more like it's a violin or something. So yeah, as I said, very impressive. Now let's move on to the next song. It's track 6 and it's called Sube nacer conmigo, hermano, which I think means come up to be born with me, brother. Let's go.
Mírame desde el fondo de la tierra, logra contadme todo, cadena, cadena.
Whoa, holy shit. Wow, the level of energy coming from that track was off the charts, to the point where at times, I mean, you had a Latin groove, up tempo, all this intense piano and guitar playing. It was like the Mars Volta, but 2 decades earlier. Truly insane levels of passion in the playing and especially the vocals on this one. I mean, it was delirious. Talk about music to take you to another world. Quite blown away. That just leaves us with the last song, which is just an ending, I suppose. It's track 7 and it's called Final.
Por mis palabras y mis
Lovely. Gorgeous, actually. Took us down to more of that atmospheric, somber mood for the last track. Some more incredible piano playing as well. But yeah, it definitely wrapped things up well with more of that mysterious atmosphere that filled so much of this album and that I loved so much. So I really have to say thank you to everyone who recommended I listen to this album. I'm really quite blown away by it. It's absolutely magical. As I've said, it really strikes me as music coming from another time, a time long before history. And how did they do that? This was made in the 80s, not pre-antiquity. Just incredible atmosphere. Most of the songs had something very different to offer. It seemed to me like they were paying tribute to a different aspect of South American culture in each track. I would love to find out more about that, what they're expressing in each one, so I can appreciate it even better. But even just on this first listen, I mean, I'm sure you can tell it's blown me away. Really beautiful music and such high level performances as well. The playing and the vocal performances, just top quality. It makes me want to hear more from this band. So let me know down in the comments what you think of this album, what it means to you, and tell me anything you know about the background of the music, and let me know what you think I should listen to next. If you've enjoyed the video, please consider supporting me with the link in the description to buy me a coffee. I'll really appreciate it. It helps me to be able to keep this channel going, keep making these videos. And thank you very much for watching. Until next time, take it easy.